This specific video is more so in the focus of Studio One 3 Pro EQ. All right, this EQ is a stock plugin and I love it. This is considered a parametric EQ and I use it quite often. One of my great viewers requests that I spend a little time on it, so this is what we're going to do in this video. All right, now this is considered like I said, a parametric EQ, which means it basically focuses on the control of the amplitude, the center frequency, and the bandwidth. All right, so basically you have a better control of everything going on, and this can be used to either cut a frequency or boost a frequency. I use it a lot to cut frequencies and as well as boosting, but more so cutting, because I guess I would refer to this more so as a surgical EQ tool, you know what I mean? Because you can really get in and do what you need to and really get those trouble frequencies, as I refer to them most of the times in my videos. Trouble frequencies, you can cut them out, you know what I mean? So basically right now I have just the default settings, and if I can just briefly describe each section right quick. Now this section right here is your, let's click on it. This is your low cut here. All right, that's your low cut, and the good thing about this, you can click, and it's easy to click on it, so you can move it forwards and backwards. All right, however you need to, and you can also adjust the slopes here if you don't want the slope to be that dramatic, or if you want it to be really dramatic and just really cut. I use this a lot for immediate cut when I'm not trying to grab, a lot of bottom, just need to shave off like immediacy or whatever. And it just really depends on the sound that I'm going for. It just is preference, and it's a good thing that you have options here, which is awesome. So that's your low cut. You can turn it on and off, which is pretty cool. Now this is your lows here, your low frequency. All right, this is how you boost and cut your low frequency. And then you can grab the Q, which will narrow down the frequency. And I'm gonna show you, what's going on for those of you that does not understand how to use a parametric EQ. This is your mids, all right, and this is your high mids right here. I forgot to tell you about the low mids here. Don't want to forget that. And then the high, your highs is right here. All right, and what's dope about this is your decibels are along the side here to the left, if you can see them, and then you have your frequency band here at the bottom, so you can see what you're doing here. And then you have a main gain. You could turn the auto on. I really use the auto feature here, and as I stated before, in the low cut frequency range, you can also activate your high cut. This is your high cut, and then you can also adjust the slope here as well. And this could be your low pass filter, or your high cut filter here. All right, you can also adjust the shelving here, the shelves here, make for to get to be able to control the specific, if I must say, specific frequency, and then sweep sweep the bandwidth, sweep the EQ across the spectrum here. And that's primarily what a parametric EQ is for, to be able to surgical edit those things that you're doing. So let's go back to default here, and we're going to listen to this drum. This is an acoustic drum on a session that I'm currently working on. All right, right away we hear some frequencies that I consider trouble or problem frequencies, because if you can hear, okay, this is a tom track. This is the third tom or the floor tom, in most cases. So this tom here, the mic on this acoustic kick is picking up quite a bit around it. And when you are recording live instruments or drums, that is, specifically drums, where you have multiple mics around the kit, it tends to pick up or bleed other drums into the mic. It picks up more than where you point it. And it really depends on the mic that you're using. Some mics are good, better than others, but most of the times, drums, this is the process that we go through when editing drums. We have to edit out those bad frequencies, and most of the times we're using a parametric EQ to take care of that job. All right, so basically, right off the back here, I will roll off the low end because I don't need, what appears to be the kick in the background. I just need the tom. All right, so if we can focus on this track a little bit more, I believe it's this. Okay, this is the track here, and we're gonna zoom in a little bit more, and we can kind of see the transients right here. Like right here is where the next, all right, so that's the next tom hit. Kind of want to go to where it would be more heavier. Yeah, so we could take this section right here and we're gonna just loop it. Yeah, I'm just gonna loop it right there. All right, we're gonna put our locator here. All right, so basically, when we are playing with parametric EQs, the first thing I usually do is put a low cut filter here, and I make the slope a little deep. Somewhere around there. And what I try to do is when I make these cuts or boosts, I try to enhance the tone of the drum itself. Try not to cut out the, if you do too much, you will cut out the drum. You don't want to do that. So what I tend to do is, and you can do whatever you want to do. These other EQ bands or the nodes or whatever you want to call them, they are there. They are available to you to do whatever you need to. There is no rule as to how to use these. Who says that you only have to use the low mid only for this section here? You know what I mean? You can move this around the spectrum. As you can see, it allows you to do that, so you can do whatever you want to do. So what I tend to do is I'll take some of these to come over here. Hey guys, come over here and join us over here and help us out over here. You know what I'm saying? And they help us cut out, some things that's going on. Now, in this situation, what I try to do is cut around, because it's, you got a mic that's picking up everything. So I try to, if you attacking one frequency, you might have something else going on up here. Again, we playing around with acoustic drums where, everything bleeds through this mic. So for instance, what I like to do, I like to boost the EQ, the problem, and try to find it. And I think it's more musical this way. You can do it however you need to. It's totally up to you. But this is a way that I find is very effective for me to find the frequency. I find it first, and I'm very musical when I find it. And what I like to do is also narrow down all the way down so I can find. And I may need to adjust this, depending on how big that area is. But you know. A lot of times, you know, most of you guys may not be musically vocal perfect. I am not, by all means. I will not come on this video and claim that I'm a singer, but a lot of times I like to hum out that frequency that I can hear, and it helps me find it. So it's like right there, and you kind of hear it. Sounds like that's the frequency that I want to cut. So, and then I just cut it. All right, let's okay. Let's do something else. That was a subtle change, but that was something I heard. But I'm gonna take this next one here. And that's actually the frequency that we want to keep, because that's the time. Well, around there. But as you can hear, you hear that? Like it gets real hummy, you know, real loud right here. What I like to do, I'll take the little dot, the node, or whatever you want to call it, and I'll find that frequency, and I'll just come down here to my gain and take it out. Bypass. Now, like I said, you want to be careful that you don't take away the actual tom. And we did. So sometimes you don't need to cut all the way out. You can do a little bit and, you know, bag up some. And sometimes you just have to play around, you know. Now that will be actually cutting the time tone, so I may not go that far, but let's hear what it sounds like. Now I definitely took a little bit of meat of it, but you know, sometimes you have to, you know, unsolo everything just to see what it sounds like together. You know, you don't want to spend too much time, you know, listening to a solo, because you may have cut that frequency. And sometimes I play around with a frequency while the entire drum kit is playing as well, just so I, you know, to see if I can hear it. And it's too loud for another thing. That's what I had it before. And a good thing about these most plugins do this. You can compare. And in this particular song, I had to replace the kick just so the kick would be a little bit fatter. Or double the kick. So that's pretty much how I use a parametric EQ. There's no rules to using this, but this is, like I said, is most of the times used to cut frequencies, those bad frequencies that you may hear. In whatever you're doing, and you can also use this to boost EQs as well. I'm trying to see, do I have this on the master? Nope, I don't have anything on the master at the moment because I'm still mixing. Sometimes I add it on the master. It just really depends on what it is, but just wanted to spend a little time on this Pro EQ by Personas. I love it. I use it heavy in everything that I do. And, each EQ has its own thing that it does, and it has its own characteristic, all right? So I'm not going to say that this EQ is better than any other EQ because every EQ is different, all right? Every EQ is designed differently. There's a tone that comes with it. There's a certain characteristic that comes with it. But, a lot of times guys think that they need third-party stuff to do what they need to, when you have a pretty dope EQ already available for you, that comes stock with this. There's also another EQ. It's actually several, when you say EQ, there's several things you can use that pertains to EQing when it comes to stock plugins. There's another one here called the fat channel, and the fat channel pretty much does the same thing, but there is a little bit more involved in the fat channel, which is pretty cool. It has a compressor built in, a limiter built in, a EQ built in. Let's pull that up on one of these channels and see what's going on. So you have your gate. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. I said what did I say? I said a limiter. Well, there is the limiter. So it's 4 things included in here. You got your what is this? A filter. You turn on your gate if you need to. You have your compressor here, then you have an EQ. Same process here. You can take the little dots and move them around and do whatever you need to. You can dial in like that and get a you know what I mean, just like the Pro EQ. It's just the same thing, and move things around how you need to. And there's also a limiter here, which is pretty dope. This is, I like this. I like this. This is actually pretty similar to what I used to do in Logic Pro. When using their compressors, there was a limiter automatically in that compressor. So this actually kills 3, 4, 5 birds with one stone. This is pretty awesome here. All right. And there's another one here that you can use. It's not necessarily a EQ. It's more so like I wouldn't say a multi-band compressor, but it kind of, in my opinion, it kind of favors that. And that's the what is it? The channel. I believe it's the channel EQ. Once I find it out, okay. No, it's not a channel EQ. What am I thinking? It's the tri. It's a tri compressor, and to me, it kind of reminds me of a band EQ in a sense, but not necessarily, because you have a multi-band EQ is a little bit more in depth. I'll put it like that, but you can definitely the reason why I say it reminds me of a multi-band compressor, because you can compress the highs and the lows, you know what I mean, and get it to pump like you need to, and then it shows you the reduction here, what's going on, and you can add saturation Now, something new that I purchased recently is the channel EQ. It's a VT1, and I think that this thing is dope because you can change the impedance on this thing. So it's almost like having a tube mic, or a tube mic with the preamp settings, and you can change, or actual preamp. This is actually a preamp. In real life, guys, you can actually buy this preamp from Personas. There's a rack mount version of this. You can change the impedance, and you can change the trimming, on the mic, the high pass filter. There's a compressor in here, which is awesome, and then you can control how fast or slow the attack and your release, and then here's your EQ section right here. All right, your main level right here. And then you can bypass different things, and then you can change. Remember those things we talked about in the parametric EQ, where you can switch between the peaks and the the other settings. Well, you can switch them on and off right here. And this is pretty dope. I use this for vocals. I've used it on strings before, and this thing has it has a really nice touch to it. There's also different presets you can play around with, just to help you get an idea of what it does, and what you can achieve using this here. You can use it on guitars, and it just gives you an idea. You can use it on whatever you want, but it's just a good thing that this thing has presets as well. Now, just like presets here, you can also get those presets in the fat channel, and as well as the Pro EQ. There's the same difference. You can just click here and get presets on different things. After doing it for so long, I tend not to go after a preset, but sometimes I do. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I do. In fact, I use presets a lot, but it's just certain things I know when I'm going after, and I just go in and just start making adjustments how I need to. All right, so, and then the other one is a RC. This is really a compressor, but it also has an equalizer on here as well. So this is a compressor. The RC500 is a compressor and the EQ. All right, and and it's really these are pretty nice touch, but this is an extra cost though. This is not free. This doesn't come with Studio One, but this is a Studio One product, and once you purchase it, you can definitely get those features like I explained before, where you can see these. I believe if I long press on this, yep, I can see the meter here, or if I long press on this, yep, I can see different things going on. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys. Again, love Studio One, and I encourage you guys to dive in and play around and see what you come up with. I hope this video helped you, especially the guy who requested me to spend a little time on the EQ. I hope this helped you. If not, then we can probably dive a little bit more so in one of my weekly ASU shows that we do live every Thursday at 11 a.m. All right, I encourage you guys to subscribe to the site, and I love feedback. I love answering questions, and I love likes, and share the videos, and however you do. All right, music is art. You're the artist. Paint your picture.